We're going to continue where we picked up last week after that unfortunate power outage. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't happen again this Friday. Let's give a quick shout out to Coffee Cat Presents, who is not here currently, doing a little bit of last minute moving, but will join us as soon as possible. Coffee was last seen running a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle called War in the Soul City, set in Jackson, Mississippi, as a prequel to San Antonio by Night. And also, Coffee Cat does the doodles, and you will get a shout out. Hold on, I promise. But yes, we will. Coffee's been doing a lot of art, and we'll be picking up the sequel campaign in July after we finish sometime in June, and we'll see how far into that we end up getting with any sort of progress here. And then, yes, of course, a shout out to the near and dear KH Darkwolf, who is here on time and does have her own channel. She was playing Shadow Fate. Thank you for being here. Now, we may have a fluffy sheep who says, my nap ran long, be there ASAP. Hopefully we do. I'll certainly take 3 out of 4. And the reason why, I say 3 out of 4 is because we will probably not have lethality complex. Uh-oh, Dark Wolf. 6 to 7 sessions left, Maddie says, the day before the power went out mid-session. And as soon as that happens, who should appear in chat but Casimir, who is apparently a very thirsty boy there with that desert heat emote. Hey, you're very welcome, Down to Die. I love giving shout-outs to fellow streamers. So yes, we may be at 3 out of 4, or at worst, if something happens to Fluffy Sheep, as apparently there is a weather event going on out his way. We may be at 2 of 4, but we can continue on with that. So with that, I'm going to sneak into the super secret chat room. And, Bane, you can have a shout out too. There we go. Except I must be on push to talk. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. And I should be hearable now?
Hear you.
Yeah, alright. Communication has been established.
I'm the only one here.
Yep.
That means I get the level up, right?
Yes, you get everyone's experience points. And this is why you murder everyone else in your party, so you get all the EXP for yourself, everyone.
I get inspiration for being on time? Oh, you know what?
So, yeah, at some point we'll have a coffee dropping in and a fluffy sheep. But until then, I believe that we need to get back to a quick recap and get things going to make sure that we can get through this very tense situation, because things have been ramped up. Where we were leaving off was actually in a couple places at the same place in the same time, interestingly enough. As we have Norallie, who is currently held in a, well, not quite a stasis, because her condition is capable of degrading. The more magic that she uses, the less her there is. to be held inside of the system. And so there is a clock running down on Norallie. Meanwhile, elsewhere, there are 2 clocks running down on Seltur and on Cypher. Back here, at the same time, there's a clock running down on a little elderly doppel, or as a goblin, as many of you might bring to mind. Though this one is odd because he has very bark-like skin, almost like goat eyes, teeth that look like little stones, kind of some mossy hair that apparently was mistaken for salad in last session. At least part of it was. And this doppel is not doing so well either, because back here, which is also in the same place that Norallie is, it's just not. I'll let you wrap your head around that. This is the absconded personnel carrier that was acquired in the battle of the town of New Donales. And during the escape, there was an incident wherein Norallie made a wish, and her wish came true. At the same time, also, a fervent prayer to Zuviwa was being made by Mordecai, who was praying to the goddess of the very land itself, and that had saved them, in a sense, at least from dying ignobly in a crash, leading them on an entire arc where they have gotten to meet a whole village full of doppels. They brought down an old undead relic from the past who was acting as a cancer upon the land, and had come back, was spending some time with the doppels here, back in the rear crashed portion of the Wild Cherry. They had discovered that one of the dwarven Shadahar soldiers had teleported upon, I guess now, the Norallie, as she is a ship, and was captured by doppels, brought here. There was a bit of an interaction where the party thought he was being cooked alive, that the doppels were going to eat him. It turns out it was just actually a bath. And moving on from there, because the doppels were still watching the prisoner, the Chroma Company sat down to eat a breakfast. Hey, there's Coffee Cat. A breakfast with the doppels, wherein the elder was actually serving breakfast. And apparently some of his hair, his beard or something, in a salad bowl. There was a conversation that had occurred, which effectively went to him saying, I don't know how many people have told you this, but thank you for doing what you did, sincerely. And the old doppel was nearly in tears, gave Mordecai a great big hug, and said, I would like to... Oh, hello? Oh, that might have been a fluffy sheep. All right, so we might be at our 3. Anyway, the old doppel said, I'd like to help you as best as I can. Took the group to the cave here in the Hollow Hill, and ended up opening the tree roots that were here. Everyone except Lokiadius was able to pass through after a very interesting experience where all of you kind of were liquefied, and then you poured out of a nearby tree, returning from a sap-like consistency to yourselves, as we are now back at the outlying, like the peripheral village of the doppels, the staging area for the attack on New Donales. And that brought the group very close to... See, we're mixing up our scenes here. Back to... the Norallie. Upon entering, there was some communication with Norallie. As that had been established and practiced, Norallie was kind of learning of her new experience in this body or this container. Another unfortunate example of, I guess, catching lightning in a bottle, as Norallie had once more been contained inside of something. And there was an effort to try and get her out, and then, of course, that brought up, well, there's also Seltur and Cypher out there who are also dying. What do we do? During the conversation with Norallie, the old doppel had snuck off and had released, had purged the engines of the ghosts and other spirits and incorporeal undead that had powered them. This was causing a panic among the group, as Celine and Mordecai were in one of the main hallways, sort of in a central area here, hoping to combine their powers to send off these spirits, to banish them away. Bright had been actively and arcanely pinging the location of the Elder Doppel, had put up her own shields up, and the Pink Ranger was running back to the engine, where she saw the Elder Doppel dancing amid a tornado of spirits who are sort of just pouring out of the engines, the containers, swirling around. And it looked as if the Elder Doppel was getting ready for something, because his eyes had started to glow, the staff was beginning to become empowered, and Bright then hit the Elder Doppel with a brain smoothen. The official name of the spell, it is brain smoothen. Yes. All right. With a brain smoothen, and this killed the Elder Doppel. He just dropped dead. In so doing, the ghosts that were in this tornado, just kind of swirling around, ended up becoming free of whatever was happening and were going nuts. Bright had embiggened herself, scooped up the Elder, and was running through the now haunted Norallie, the severely haunted Norallie, and brought the Doppel to Mordecai and Celine, who were just finishing their own kind of glowy-eyed powers of banishment. And Mordecai has been trying to keep this thing alive, but it is, and Celine as well. And between the two of them, the Doppel was kind of fading in and out. And we, as the audience of this story, have learned that this elder being was between two places, as physically and somewhat mentally, he was held in the arms of Mordecai, who was trying to keep him alive. Norallie, who is in this in-between space, this place that had been filled with ghosts and regret and terror and anger, and honestly, there's also some very bad people that were ghosts, or at least the ghosts are reflections of very bad people too, who did very bad things, such that while they weren't interacting with you as if you were not alive, they weren't seeking you or necessarily talking to you, Norallie, but you just got these feelings from them, or you saw the physical afflictions that probably led them to become ghosts. Or you might have heard mutterings, I'd do it again too if I had the chance, of regrets and revenge and anger and so forth. Very scary, spoopy stuff. Though among them, standing out from these Shadahar ghosts, was a small figure with just big floppy ears, wrinkled bark-like skin, in appearance, though it was a very spiritual. It is kind of like a ghost, but not quite like the ghosts that are all around. And there was a bleariness as this elder being was sort of fading into this place as well. As an audience, we seem to see that this elder is now in a between state between the administrations of Mordecai and Celine, as well as in the company of a very hesitant Norallie. And also, welcome Raiders, welcome Macabre Derek. Raven, if you can give Derek a shout out, please. And so, what we... One moment. Okay. So she was kind of hesitant as this thing had appeared. Well, not quite introduced himself, but Norallie had asked for his name, and he replied. This Elder Doppel's name is Gent. And asked a question of something along the lines of, what do you want? And Norallie was baffled, suspicious, confused, unsure, a whole cacophony of different feelings, and was trying to specify what the question had meant. And as she was trying to figure this out to herself and or to Gent, he faded back out of this place and had been muttering some things to Mordecai in Mordecai's arms, and had been going back and forth. And we are going to pick up here. We are going to pick up inside this in-between space where Norallie is. And we can continue as Gent ends up reappearing before you, Norallie. There are a couple of the other nasty ghosts around. Again, they don't seem to be threatening you, and they're not interacting with Gent at all. But the places, you are not flushed of the ghosts that are giving you those like creepy crawly feelings through you, as they are, as the ship quite literally crawling through you. But this creature appears again and is there if you'd like to say or do anything.
Jen, could you specify a little? I still don't know, like, what you mean.
Norallie, I am just asking you, what is something that you want? I'm dying, and if I can help you, having just met you, I think I could die a little happier.
Oh, okay. Something you could help with? That narrows it down. Well, I want to get back to my friends. If you think you could help with that.
That is something that I cannot do myself, but I can help you do that.
That would work.
But he seemingly flickers back out for a moment after saying "but" to that. And there will be an interaction I'll have with Mordecai. A little bit of time is going to pass. You are welcome to be curious about whatever happened, Norallie. Then he's going to fade back into your place. Why?
Why what?
Why do you want to help them? The ones that did this to me.
Oh, well, there's probably a good explanation for that. Um, but we were trying to, stop the world from dying, which is like the main reason. If they did something to you though, I'm sure I could talk to them and get them to apologize.
Norallie, for a moment, something flickers in your mind as you recall back to. No, wait, were you around for that? No, I'm sorry, Norallie wasn't around for that.
What about?
It was a quote from Tig. It was a quote from Tig about the party being murderers. Uh, but you were a ship at that point, so I can invoke this. I can invoke this back in real space and time. But for you as a player, you're welcome to load up that clip that I believe Ravenstar was kind enough to glean from that session.
I mean, they sometimes don't do good things, but I try to do good things, and helping the world's a good thing. They want to do that, so that's good of them. Like I said, I could get them to apologize, maybe.
No apologies. They're trying. They're trying.
You're trying to what?
He seems to be musing on what you were saying, as you're telling him, they're trying to save the world? Question mark?
Oh. Yeah, like the whole reason we're even here right now. Well, we're here because we stole the ship. We stole the ship because we were going to give it to Seltur, who was hurt. Seltur was hurt is because Bright killed the leader of the Shadahar, which she did because the leader of the Shadahar was actually the Demon Lord. And the Demon Lord, well, she's not a nice lady, or she wasn't a nice lady, and also she was against the world and or the land or whatever. And Mordecai and Celine are all tree huggers now. I don't get it, but I want to help because if the world dies, then I can't run my orphanage. That wouldn't be fun. Yeah.
Why is it worth it, Norallie? The image flickers, and his voice almost sounds echoey or hollow, though you do understand the question.
Well, it's worth it because I wanna live my life and help others and help kids who don't have families, and I can't do that if the world ends.
Do you see what continuing this cycle brings? The violence and the taking?
Well, I'm not taking anything. We're just gonna try to stop Stone and then that'll help the land, and the land will be good, and then I can go back to helping children who don't have families and giving them a place to stay and food and clothes and such, and then helping them find families.
How will you do that?
Well, once the world's safe, we're building an orphanage. So we spent a lot of money and time on it, and I will I will run it, and I will do what I
Not
can
that.
to teach. And
He holds up his little four-fingered hand and just stops you. Not that. The world. How will you save it?
Well, we have to fight Shonen, which is this big scary thingy that has tentacles and such. Um, uh, and I have magic that kind of works on it, so hopefully that's enough. You'd think that Mordecai and Celine would kind of know what to do with it now, but no. So a lot of it's on me, which is scary, but I still gotta help.
I was killed for helping.
Um, that's not. They probably didn't realize what was going on. They're kind of finger waggle happy, Just things happen and magic goes off.
No faith. Suspicion. Pessimism. Bitterness.
No, sometimes it's reasonable to not trust things, especially if you don't know what they're affiliated with or what they're doing, and if they're playing.
And if I help you, Norallie, if I help you leave this place, will you follow your heart and everything that you told me?
Well, yeah. Yeah, this is everything I told you is what I want to do. It's kind of been a dream of mine for a while, but I didn't think I would ever have the means to do something like it, and then I got the means.
Even if your dream might kill you? Or you see the loss of others in your life?
Well, I've seen a lot of loss in my life. I'm kind of used to it now.
You have, poor thing. I hope, then, that your words are true. But I don't have much time left despite the administrations of the others. I've been released from what I had been. And I suppose I must practice the same faith that I had hoped to receive from them. And I must be the one to also practice forgiveness. Though, and he sort of just kind of looks at his glowing hands and self, and I can't quite say I was prepared for this to be the end. An end, perhaps it's better to say. Not the end.
Norallie's just gonna take one of his hands and just cup it in her hands. It's kind of being gentle and caring with him.
He staggers even in this spiritual form and falls to a knee as you're holding his hand. Norallie, there's not much time that I have. There's never enough. though it seems to be what we all face. I will help you leave this place with the last bit of who I am, or what I am. I suppose in my own way, I had been deceitful, and this is the punishment that I get for it. I hope, Norallie, you'll forgive me.
Mhm.
Norallie, the spirit of Gent begins to change. Not quite dissipate, but there's actually a growing of light. And in this odd place of directionless light and gravity, but it's directionless gravity, just a place that is, but is not. This actually feels like a warmth, a direction of light. It feels real in a place that really isn't. The form of this small old creature dissipates, but expands in the light and changes. I'm sorry, Norallie, that I had lied. And Norallie, as the kind of warm, yellowy green light, the smell of fresh earth and blossoms, but also intermixed with that is the smell of like a manure set out to fertilize the farm fields in the spring or like over the winter. There's just a mix of all different things, of a hot, uncomfortable, humid wind, and the stinging cold of a northern blizzard. But these actually, to you in this state, they feel like this. And you are actually getting warmth, and you're feeling a contact. And as the statement will end, as we shift back to Mordecai, your eyes may very well grow wide in this yellow-green light. As the old doppel both confesses and dissipates to reform. We return a little bit even back in time to the hallway inside the Norallie. Celine and Mordecai, more in particular, Mordecai, is holding this in and out of consciousness, this erratic heartbeat, ragged breathing, this elderly creature in your arms. Bright is beside you, Mordecai, and Celine is on the scene as well. You have tried using your magic. You brought it back from the dead to a degree, but it doesn't seem to be working the way that it should. It's... something is off. Something isn't right here. What are you saying or doing? And the scene, the spotlight is on either of you, as Bright or Mordecai here. You can talk and interact together.
I don't understand. Why is he still fading?
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand this sort of thing. And he shouldn't have died anyway. I mean, I don't understand why it killed him in the first place. It's not supposed to be lethal. I mean, it does a little bit of damage, but hardly any. Not enough that would kill anyone that would be worth using the spell on, let's put it that way. And I don't understand.
He's a frail old man. What did you think would happen?
Well, what I was hoping is that he would, become incapacitated and just kind of stand there and drool a little bit, and then I could lead him back here, and then maybe we could tie him up, and then we could interrogate him, and it would be, be okay. But that's not how it worked out.
Well, I'm still a little confused as to what happened in here?
Oh, you mean just like what happened in general? Yeah, we went up there.
Yeah.
And he pulled the purge lever and released all the ghosts. And he wouldn't say why. He was just happy that he did it. And so I asked him why he'd done it, and he wouldn't answer me. So I hit him with the brain smoothing because I wanted to take him captive. And it's you can fix that. You can just undo that spell, but
right. But
yeah.
Why?
Why what?
He's been so nice to us.
Well, right up until he sabotaged the ship and abducted Loki and almost killed Norallie, yeah. But before
abducted
that,
Loki?
he was nice. Well, he didn't make the trip, did he? We're here, and he's back at the Goblin hideout.
We haven't even tried descending to Loki. It's been a little bit crazy.
Well, yeah. But even so, we're here and Loki's not. That's not a point in his favor.
Okay. Yeah, that could be anything.
Well, yeah, that's why
teleportation has always been a little wibbly wobbly, right?
Yeah, I know. It was really when he tried to sabotage the ship and maybe kill Norallie. That's really the thing. I mean, if you're trying to help someone, you normally don't do it by sabotaging their ship. That's not helping ever.
Okay, I can understand where maybe there was some confusion between the fact that he didn't really answer you, but he's been helpful.
I mean,
up
he
until
gave us
this
a nice
point.
breakfast. Breakfast, sabotage the ship. Breakfast, sabotage the ship. Yeah, it doesn't really add up.
But
it does not balance out.
I don't know, maybe. I was hoping maybe we could learn a bit more from him, about the land and how it is that we can defend it against Shadahar.
I don't think we could trust anything he would tell us anyway. He's done. I mean,
where is this coming from, Bright?
What do you mean? He's not good. He's not a good person.
How can you make that judgment?
What do you mean? How can I not? Look at what he's done.
His chest heaves and he shudders as in this moment that you two are talking. And his eyes flutter and are unfocused.
I try to get him to focus a little bit. Just try and kind of like talk to him, trying to get him to focus on me.
Norallie.
What about Norallie?
Come back.
Norallie, come back. Is Norallie coming back? What? Stay with me. What were you trying to do?
Free. You.
Free us. From what exactly?
Cycle.
Cycle.
Vicious.
I
He starts choking on his own breath.
I kind of prop him up so that he could, maybe cough.
Give me a medicine check.
Can Celine assist me?
Yeah, she's here.
Okay.
Maybe Celine could. Oh, well, whatever.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, he's breathing. You're hearing like a rattle in his chest, and as you're administering like you just a care to him, you're trying to prop him up. There's a breath, but there's just something also about his body, Mordecai, that it's not. Maybe it's doppel physiology, that there are definitely some characteristics that you share. But it's foreign in a way. It's weird. Trying to find a pulse is a very hard thing to do. There's no pulse in the normal places where you're quote unquote supposed to find it. And you're just discovering that this is this doppel, this elder, is a strange creature.
Yeah. That's putting it lightly. How would releasing the ghosts free us? What was your logic behind that?
No more taking.
Taking? We're not taking anything. Maybe that's the point. The Shadahar have taken all of these spirits from wherever they're supposed to go, if anywhere, and shove them into things and make them work even beyond death.
Another way. Show. Another. Kind of a juicy, like a thick cough, and almost like a sap, almost actually like the substance you turned into when you went from the roots of the tree in the hill to this remote tree further away, ends up pouring out of his mouth.
Another way. These ships run on the pilot's will, so it would just need some kind of a source to channel, some kind of fuel source. That's all it needs to move, really. The controls are all will-based. You just command it and it goes. So what's another kind of fuel source to use? is that the ghosts are all gone now.
He sputters as you contemplate, and after a racking cough, more of this sap kind of like dribbles down and sputters out of his mouth. His strange amber eyes with almost the goat-like pupils open suddenly. And Bright, a weak hand reaches up towards you and makes a beckoning motion towards you.
I don't think so. I don't react.
Can't stay. Before I go. Something. He mouths something, as then he fades out again and recovers, shakes his eyes. He's trying to focus them again. His eyes are wild as his pupils are just expanding and contracting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Give and Mordecai my name. You never asked.
I never got around to proper introductions, huh? What's her name? Argent.
And the body goes limp in your arms.
Oh, I'm spare the dying.
You try stay with me, Argent, and as you do, there is no reaction, and in fact, this body begins to unravel in your arms. The bark-like skin just begins to crack and flake away. The fingers fall like leaves away from him, off of him. The hair on his head, his beard, browns, curls a bit. And he turns to compost, effectively, in your arms, Mordecai.
I've never had someone decompose in my arms before.
The smell of fresh soil, the smell of, well, decomposing leaves, might even bring back memories of you playing in leaf piles as a kid, or going mushroom hunting on a nice autumn day. The smell of farms as they harvest or till, or you pass by during manure season when they're fertilizing the fields. It is a mix of very earthy, rich smells. Some might be pungent and offensive, but there's no doubt that it's real. It is a part of the world, of mineral, of decay, but also just a memory might come back of this is fresh soil you put into a pot when your mom and dad were gonna plant a little, your favorite flower as a kid. And just, you were excited, you were by the pot, and maybe as they put the seed down in there, you just were hovering over it. Like, oh, is it growing yet or something? And just those smells are flooding you. Bright, you can smell this as well. This would smell like the rich soils of the rainforest of Uct. You know, the green and the vibrant colors, but also those of the decay of the fall from the canopy. You are getting memories of your days in Uct. And I would narrate similar to Celine, so fill in the blank for her and her own experiences as well. But for you two that are here, this is what you're getting from the pile of compost that is now in your arms.
I guess he really was tied into the trees. I don't know, there's probably something we could have learned from him. I never wanted him to die, even though... I don't know.
Well, from what he says he forgives you. So, and
He forgives me, that's Rich. He's the one that needs forgiveness. I think we have to go back to the Goblin Town. We have to go get Loki. I guess we should go up to the bridge and see if Norallie still exists. We're about that far from the bridge, right? It's just a few feet.
Yeah, not too far from it.
Right.
yeah,
I'll
I'll
go on over there and check in on Norallie. Of course, I'm going to have to cast, probably use Minor Illusion into the little tube to activate it so I can talk to Norallie. So, I'll be talking with my Minor Illusion.
And Celine and Mordecai will follow then.
Since message isn't something I can do repeatedly. It's a one a day for me.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. You go back up to the bridge, where you've been able to make contact with Norallie before. You know how to get a hold of her. It's not like she's going anywhere.
Mordecai's actually going to cast Sending to Loki and see where he is.
Sure, Loki.
Waiting for the message.
Noticed you didn't go in with us. Curious as to why. Where are you, big brother? Or little brother, rather? Okay, thanks, bye.
Yay.
Yeah, nice job just abandoning me. I'm still here at the Goblin. I'm just walking. Okay, thanks.
He was at the Goblin camp, and he's walking towards us anyway, so I don't think he's in any danger. I tell that to, Bright and Celine.
Well, that's good. Alright, now I want to check in on Norallie. So my Minor Illusion is going to say, Norallie, how are you feeling? Are you gonna be okay? We're worried about...
I've been better. Is Celine there? Can I talk to Celine? It's a girl thing.
I mean, also girl.
Well, like, you don't have this as often?
Okay, sure. I mean, sure, Celine is here. Although Celine's not here.
And she's just gonna talk to Celine and be like, so Celine, you know, I need that for that,
Could you be a little more specific, darling?
You know how girls have things happen 12 times a year?
Right.
I need something for that. That's the feeling I'm having. I think that's what's going on. I need
Oh
iron.
my.
Iron? That's what I would like some iron, please.
I think that can be arranged.
It's true. It's only once a year for us. But I mean, is it ever at all for Celine? I guess that's your private business.
I have yet to find out. And if there's any kind of iron or even a leak of some kind, Celine's gonna go looking for that.
Celine's gonna go
Around.
look for what?
Looking, Norallie says that she needs iron, so anything made of iron, Celine's gonna go looking for. But based on the feeling that Norallie has provided, she's gonna look for some kind of leak.
Like the
Also.
vegetable?
No, like a leak, like a fluid leak.
I mean, the fuel source did just leak out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like she has no blood is basically how I'm taking it. Although we could maybe there's some broccoli or some spinach around here we could find for her, but probably it's more like she has no blood and I don't know how to replace it.
Well, it's Mordecai kind of pipes up. It's I mean, normal like seafaring ships, they're powered by the wind. Occasionally, they have, on the occasion there's a propeller of sorts. And thinking back to the airship that we saw here in Alartswad, they don't run on the same kind of technology that the Shadahar ships do.
That's correct.
It's more technological than using supernatural things to bend into your will. It's more mechanical than that.
Yeah, but Norallie's not mechanical. I
Well,
don't
no.
know that's even gonna work.
But well,
I also would like some cookies.
and she's hungry.
Is she hungry or does she just want cookies? Those aren't the same thing.
I mean, it's usually wanting the same thing in a way. But yeah, finding some kind of fuel source to power this. Let's see, Mordecai's going to ask Bright, who has been studying this ship, in-depth questions about it and see if he can piece something together about how to get it to function again.
I mean, I don't know that much. I've only read the owner's manual, but sure, I'll answer anything I can. Now, of course, out of character, I don't know what's in the book.
Right.
Mordecai doesn't know what's in the book, but he's...
Well, I can try and speak through Bright's mouth if you have a particular question.
Well, and Mordecai, the intent that Mordecai has is to find an alternative to how to get this to work, because he didn't get a whole lot of time with he spent a whole afternoon, more or less, or day, on an Alartswad airship, figuring out how those work, because that was his intent in that particular little time period. Could he make this ship work like that? Is my question.
No. At least not as this ship has been made. It would be far too heavy, and there's just no way that the systems as they're set up could be rigged up with the type of furnace and even the balloon needed for the quote-unquote earth farts that the dwarves were powering their ships on. But, I mean, you are correct in that the dwarves did have another way, and that it used the power of the earth in some way. As crudely stated as it was, it seemed to work, and they didn't have to use magic or even the undead. Unfortunately, though, this ship is... You would have to make substantial... Like, you'd have to tear out so much stuff, or maybe you all just...
Yeah.
You take a... You break off one of the donuts, you put the netting in the bottom, and you all hook up a balloon to an engine, and you ride in the netting in the middle of the donut. And then hopefully, one of you can try and steer from there. And maybe you can contain Norallie in the donut or something, if you're to try and merge those two.
Yeah, there's no way this is going to fly.
Celine is going to return after a while and tell you that, I mean, there's metal. If you need metal, of course, there's metal back at the old ships that are most definitely not going to fly. Whether or not it's iron, she'll ask if Norallie really needs iron. If not, then there's a lot of other metal that you could try and scrap or go for. But it's not like there's just iron hanging around.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's really what she needs or not.
I don't want to tear this ship apart, because that could mean that we lose Norallie.
Could always scrap the wild cherry.
The doppels were going back to their hometown anyway, I guess. That's going to take time, too. We don't have a lot of time.
I don't have a very good sense of how long Norallie can function here. Or Seltur, for that matter. I mean, we were supposed to be on our way back there by now.
We were supposed to have gone to the New Denalas and then be back already.
Yep, there are
help her at Brisbane.
3 timers ticking down, and you don't know the results of any of them. You're a little bit more confident, I mean, Bright and everyone, you're a little bit more confident in Norallie, because Norallie is in a slightly different state. Bright, you had determined that her magicness is the thing that's giving her this ability to stay within the ship. So long as she has this potential, this magic, this manifestation of will, presumably she's okay. But the more magic that she uses, which there could be a slow leak. You wanted to check for a leak, there could be a slow leak. Cantrips are still an administration of magic in a way. So at some point, hopefully she's not blowing all her spell slots or something, the in-game, the in-lore equivalent, but if she has spell slots, she's okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can put our spell slots into the ship to help rejuvenate her. I mean,
that's
try that.
Worth a shot.
Sure.
What were you thinking, Brian?
Well, no, I'm just thinking. We know that we can talk to Norallie by casting spells into this tube, but maybe there's some other place on the ship where we can cast spells to give her more vitality, or cast spells that could even help her move. Like maybe we could if we put enough spell slots into some part of the ship, we might be able to activate the engines even without the ghosts, and get it to.
That's an idea.
Or if not, if we can't do it with pure magic power, maybe we can do it with, I don't know, maybe some sort of life force we can put in.
Arcana at advantage, Bright.
That would take. Okay, I don't have my character sheet. Just a minute. I have to load my character sheet.
Okay.
Dumping spells into her does seem like it would be along the right line.
18? That's terrible.
Oh, that is.
That's a terrible Bright roll.
However, as you naturally brought it up yourself, I'm fine even with an 18 to at least give you a strong clue into something this reminds you of, as you were talking to Gaspard about the concept of the Kai burners or the key burners. He didn't like it called key. He liked to call it Kai. And just how it was that those could function, because there was even a talk amongst you all for at least a little bit about doing something similar yourselves, to have this person, this animated spirit inside of an inanimate object, able to communicate and move and talk. Now, you don't have Gaspard here with you, but
I was a student of Gaspard's.
Mordecai's a student of Gaspard, and you talked to him about the concept when you were doing your spying on the development of the Kai Burners Bright.
Right.
So, Kai burners. Yeah, if it works along this similar function, I don't see why we couldn't make that happen.
Yeah, but we never really understood. I certainly didn't. I'm not even sure if Gaspard does. Didn't really understand the underlying premise of it all. I mean, he had to import those ghosts from Shadahar always. Yeah. He couldn't make them locally, and he never seemed to have any interest, or maybe not interest, but he just never seemed to have any insight or plan to do it any other way. And I kind of talked to him about that. I'm like, do you have to use these ghosts, or we don't really want to do it that way? But he never really showed any interest in doing it differently.
Well, is that something that I would know a little bit more about, or no?
This was a very recent thing that he was developing. That the Orphanarium actually was funding his research into this.
Yeah.
So you're getting practical results out of it, because you're like, look, just build it, no questions asked. And he's like, sure, I'll fund this program that I have a burning curiosity for, and you'll get the labor result out of it, and I'll get to research more about these, this concept and these things. And remember, he learned about these, or at least the idea, from his study at the monastery, and even referenced back to the Six Landlords. But he wanted to give a less kooky take on it, a more scientific approach than the kind of the hocus pocus, feel good, flower in your pocket kind of stuff that he got at the monastery.
There's a link to this here, and I'm doing an out of character dumb. And and I don't know what I'm doing.
If it saps her energy, Celine says, even if only a little bit, we need to be efficient, but can you ask Norallie for any other... Did you remind her you're not a cop? I don't know what else. She needs to understand how dire this is.
Yeah, it's pretty damn important we get back to Seltur and Cypher. We need to... with something. We need something.
Yeah. I don't know.
I got what's left of the gold in my pocket.
I don't think that's gonna help enough. I don't know. All right, Medi, is there anything I read in the operator's manual for the ship? any place we could tap into to try out the direct fueling approach?
There's nothing about you producing ghosts for the machine itself. Like it will talk about going to a fueling station. And that it's just referring, make sure you go to an appropriately, licensed, refueling point, etc. But it doesn't talk about ways for you to capture your own ghosts and put them inside. There was a similar station that you did get to see in the valley, in the Dragon Graveyard Valley, because there was a little bit of a concern during the storm that lightning was going to strike it and release the ghosts inside. So you've seen a station similar, but unfortunately there was really no interaction or anything along those lines. So as far as you know, Bright, this thing, it was built to run on incorporeal undead that are fueled into these engines, and at the will of the pilot are told to fly in a direction, and that is, in a sense, what makes the ship rise up and be able to do what it does. Now, some ships also get help from actual sails to like harness extra speed or maneuverability, things along those lines. But at least the ghosts can provide anything from direct propulsion to at least a zero buoyancy, and if you just want to go sailing and just sort of float along. So for the Shadahar, this is the only thing that they have considered to be able to fuel and pilot their ships beyond. Well, you could try raising a sail, which would work if you at least had a neutral buoyancy, but how do you get that in a big ship made of metal?
Question. Well, there's that. And then but Norallie is our one ghost, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of ghosting right now. If she
she's not
levitated,
ghosting. We can talk to her whenever we want to.
if she made the ship levitate in some way, then we'd at least get off the ground, right?
Yeah. So when we were on the Repentless and we were escaping from the Shadahar thing, and after we killed Mercury, there were like stations on the ship where I could use to cast magic, and it would be amplified into the ship itself. Is there anything like that on here?
There's not. That is something that the Repentless seems to have grown or developed as a part of its own constant evolution through Seltur, and then especially through Cypher's intermingling with this object that's able to develop weaponry, that's able to be manifest at his will.
Yeah, it's time like these that I wish the professor was around.
Yeah, we could always try sending to the professor. I was thinking he might have some kind of insight into maybe if there's something we could use as a substitute for these ghosts.
It's worth a shot, right?
As you're pondering, there's some tips on metal behind you.
Looking at what's going up.
And you all see a couple doppels just kind of peering down the hallway at you all.
Hello?
I cast Mage Armor. Did I? Oh, I already cast Mage Armor.
You had before, yeah.
Yeah, I don't cast Mage Armor.
Bright shields up, okay.
I remember that I already have Mage Armor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sorry, force a habit already.
Just kind of look at them. Hello? Dude, I guess they don't understand me, do they?
They start to come teetering down the hall.
I'm gonna make you use my spells. Well, I'm gonna cast tongues on myself, because why not? Need them to understand me and say, is something wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Followed on a dare. I won. Strange travels.
We're trying to, we're trying to get this thing to fly again, so gonna need you to, head back home.
Oh. That's a lovely pile of filth you have there.
Yeah.
He points down to the compost at your feet.
Yeah, it is. We'll get around to that later.
Where's the elder?
He's not here anymore.
Oh. Go back home?
I don't know exactly what happened. He just isn't here anymore.
Oh. Okay. Well. Do you need anything?
Metal? Lots of iron if you can manage it.
Iron? Don't know about iron. Lots of metal. Back at the ship.
It might be useful. I don't know yet.
You ready to go back? I don't want to. It felt weird. Well,
What felt weird?
getting here.
Why?
I felt gooey.
Did you walk through a tree?
Yeah? Didn't think it would work. This one won.
Which tree?
The one in the hill. The roots. It brought us to here. We followed you.
That's where we came through.
We followed them because someone wanted to see them again. Shut up. Are you upset that we followed you?
No. No, I can't say that I am. But, my friends here seem to think that you have ill intentions.
No? Well, here. There's some fumbling in some scrappy pockets on this creature, and it starts walking up closer to you, Mordecai.
Mm-hmm.
Holds out its hand. Something's clenched in it.
Mordecai puts out his hand.
A Shadahar coin falls into it. Found it on the ship. You can have it. It's shiny, but you can keep it. You want metal?
Where did you find more of this kind of metal?
No. Found that one in some old pants that a skeleton was wearing.
That makes sense.
Did I do wrong? Should I not have taken it?
No, it's fine. He wasn't using it anymore.
Alright, we're not in trouble?
Not with me.
You're not going to hurt us, are you?
I'm not.
Does that mean someone else will? And both of them look frantically between Bright and Celine.
I don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah,
so
I know
can't
that.
really have a comment.
Yeah.
Bright Celine, he's curious of whether or not you're going to hurt him.
You did see he handed over money to Mordecai.
Yeah, but I realize that that's just a trinket. Well, I'm not planning on it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then Mordecai turns back to the doppel. So long as you don't wish us any harm, we don't wish you any harm.
Why would we wish you harm? You saved us. We all love you. We want to help. Bright, you see this this doppel is like jumping up and down, flailing its arms in an agitated manner, yimmering and yammering about something.
What if they came here on their own? Why didn't they bring Loki with us? With them? Mordecai's gonna have to translate.
Yeah. What about Loki? Why didn't he go through the goopy portal?
I don't know. He walked away, and we snuck past and went in.
Did he try to go in?
Maybe.
Because he was behind us.
He was really grumpy.
The Elder kind of made him grumpy.
We thought maybe he'd hurt us if he caught us, but he didn't, so we're here.
He seems to have a little bit of a grumpy attitude when it came to the Elder, too. Oh no, something about that's not right. But, do you happen to know how far away Breezebane is?
What's a Breezebane? Is it tasty? Can you eat it?
No, it's another city. It's fine.
As you ponder out loud, Mordecai, Celine, Celine's eyes open up and she offers this might have something to do with Loki's connection to you-know-what.
I kind of figured as much, if I'm honest. Kind of figured it was something related to that because that Elder made him grumpy, and if the Elder was as, linked to the land as he was saying he was, and Loki is connected to the actual infection of this world, then yeah, of course they're going to oppose each other.
I don't think it was something that the Elder might have been able to control. Shonaroth is immune to most of our magics, though not Norallie's. And in this case, it would seem that Loki is not able to interact with the magic of the Elder? But in return, the undead were able to just absolutely tear the life out of the lands and the people itself.
Yeah.
And as we saw, Shonaroth is also able to tear into the undead. There's some kind of I'd have to sit down and write it out, but it almost seems like there's some sort of an influence wheel or some kind of a cause and effect chain of these things, or maybe if not things, concepts.
It's, something like a cycle?
Some kind of cycle of effect or something along
Maybe.
those lines.
I don't 100% get it myself.
Well, anyway, if they can get metal, have them just start bringing metal through then. And where does it go? What do we put it on top? Where does it? Did Norallie say?
Well, usually these things require rivets, bolts. You repair a hole in a ship by plugging it up with more material.
Well, before we go plugging anything into Norallie, it would probably be best to ask her what needs to go where. Because if you don't know, I don't want to just randomly start riveting her.
That's understandable, because I think that would come as a shock.
Probably, and it's well worth noting the response. I'm going to guess, though, up front she won't appreciate it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. So, let's see what Norallie needs and where we need to repair.
Well, you're the one who can talk to her easily. Although I think she motions to both Bright and Mordecai with that gesture.
Yeah, I'm only getting half the conversation, so
No, I'm talking to Celine.
Yeah, that was between Celine and Mordecai.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, I'm getting 100% of the
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
enough. That's enough of the conversation. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. We shouldn't just experiment randomly. That's why I was hoping we could find some sort of clue, because I mean, Noralie's in a brand new body, and she probably hasn't. The things that she actually needs are probably translated into feelings that she would have had when she was in her usual body. So, I mean, when she says she needs iron, I don't think she really needs like metal. I think that probably means she needs. I mean, iron is
like
what the
a
body
blood
uses to
source
make
in a
blood,
way.
and that's similar to what I mean. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly fuel, but it's kind of the same idea, right? That's
A
what kind
life
of
source.
carries things. Yeah, so I think it's more like a source of life than a source of actual literal iron.
A life source.
Do we have
Like
to
the
sacrifice
remember-
these
burners.
things? The doppels don't understand Celine, so they're just like, huh? As she like makes a gesture to, do we sacrifice them to Norallie then? Or
No, that
No.
I don't think that's something that Celine would say.
I mean,
well, I'm not in seriousness. Like well, because you're talking about a life source. There's two doppels here. Like, then what?
No,
we don't want to put any thinking creature in. If I mean,
no.
even doppels,
Like you were saying,
they
but
didn't
like you were saying
start it.
earlier, Bright. Something like the Kai burners use, like magic
Well,
of some kind. Like
I think
magic is an
that
essence of life, isn't it?
not for me.
Well,
Maybe for you.
it stems. Well, magic in general is just a manifestation of something you conjure, right? And you learn spells in various ways, and it works different ways for different people because it's all different, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
still pretty much rely on the fact that music is important to me. Performing is important to me.
Mordecai, I love you, but I didn't marry you for your brain. Hold on a moment. Celine is going to cast Sending to Norallie, as you've established that works. Be specific. Tell me what you need. Mordecai can talk to the doppels for a while to get more help. Okay, thanks, bye.
I need iron. You know, metal, iron, that sort of thing. I don't know how much more specific I can be. Okay, thanks, bye.
Celine just rubs her forehead. She says, metal.
Well,
Then
okay.
we get metal.
If that's what she says. Why don't we try to link up with Loki back at the Wild Cherry?
He said he was already on his way back.
Okay, well then, he's on his way back here?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can link up with him on the way then.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Mordecai, can you tell them to go get metal then, I guess? Just make a pile of it until we figure out what to do?
Yeah. And Mordecai will instruct the two doppels that came following them that we need as much metal as they can spare and to pile it up outside of the ship.
Are you going to come back with us?
We're headed in that direction. We gotta catch up with our friend first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can go tell the others.
Is walking through that tree just a one-way thing?
Hopefully not.
Where you go through the tree and then you pop out here, but is there a place here where you could do the same? And it's still open?
Hopefully, they both say. We just followed you here because, well, someone, hey, that was both of us, wanted to be in your presence.
I get it. It's kind of a new experience for some of us. Just, be helpful. That's all. They can't understand you, otherwise they're gonna, we've been through a lot. And, are jumpy.
Yeah. Before we go back, do you mind if, can I have a pocket of that dirt?
Sure.
And the other looks very indignant, like, what did you just... It's good dirt, look at it. It comes scampering up and bloop, takes a pocket of it, or takes a handful, puts it in its pocket. Fair trade for the coin.
Fair enough.
It speaks very confidently and boldly to you, despite you being an object of veneration for it. All right,
I couldn't agree more.
Let's go back. And they both scamper down the hall and leave through one of the rents.
All right, let's go catch up with Loki.
Okay.
All right, you're waiting for Loki to walk here?
Well,
No,
we're gonna
try
go
and
meet
meet
him
him on the way.
halfway.
Oh, okay.
I'll have Peggy Sue fly up in the air so that we can see him, in case we don't meet directly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get the bird's eye view. Because she's literally a bird.
As you leave, you go to cross over the hills in the background to try and meet halfway. You hear a ow conk Well, more the conch and then the ow. Off to the side. Now, all of you hear it, because it's a conch and an ow. Though Mordecai, it is a conveyance of pain. Translated to you.
I kind of peek and see what happens.
One of the doppels is on its butt and rubbing its forehead. By the tree that you all had come out of. But the other one can't be seen. Ah. Where did the...
Guess it must have closed.
The doppel stands up, takes a couple steps back, and runs face first into the tree. Ah!
No.
Ah! And kind of a blood, not a sap, but a blood actually kind of comes out of the nose of this doppel.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work. It's probably closed on this end now.
Yeah, you'll
You'll end up
probably have to
cracking your
walk
skull.
overland along with us.
Yeah, you can walk with us.
All right. Ah. Stupid. Grumble, grumble.
Probably swear words.
Yes, amid just legitimate, incoherent grumbling.
But yeah, meeting up with Loki
All right, you walk.
where we can.
You meet Loki halfway. You cross over the hills. You're walking for 40-ish minutes or so.
Where do you guys go?
Well, did you try to go through the tree?
Yeah. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Okay. Same thing happened to this little fella just now.
Yeah, I think it's probably different since the elder. I mean, it was his magic, so yeah, it's not going to be working now. For you,
Well,
it's
he throws
probably
it on you?
since you had incompatible magic.
But nice of you to come with me.
I mean, we wouldn't leave you behind or anything, if that's what you're thinking.
Honestly, I don't.
Haven't we proven to you by this point that we actually care about you?
I've known you guys for like a week. Give or take.
Yeah, but it's
I
a really
mean-
long week.
I mean, you and I have basically considered each other's brothers at this point, Loki. I think, you know, that might make sense.
What I'm saying is you guys helped, and I had to walk here.
Yes, and I'm sorry about that. That's tough cookies.
Speaking of which, Loki, this is a halfway-ish point. Are you going to continue to walk on towards the village and the ship? Or are you going to turn around and go back with them, as it looks like they're all walking to the village? Or to the ship?
So what's going on with Norallie?
Well, she says that she needs metal, and that's what the doppels have. The doppels have offered to, be helpful. So I'll let them be helpful if they want to be helpful. And the thing that Norallie needs right now, according to herself, is that she needs metal. And we've been trying to think of ways that we can get this ship into the air without it, being too much of an issue.
I'll just repair what's broken. No.
Well, typically that's what you do with the things that are mechanical, but this particular ship was designed to run on supernatural locomotion, and we don't have that anymore.
Why not?
Because
Weren't three of the engines full and left?
well,
The elders sabotaged them. Now they're all empty.
they are indeed all empty. So, frankly, I'm at a loss. A bit.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just get the repairs done and we can find something else to fuel?
Yeah, that's my thoughts too.
It's like after on ghosts.
I don't think necessarily. I think it's more along the lines of
I wonder if we could power the ship with Shadahar worms.
some kind of life essence might work.
Well, it's not really a life essence exactly, but it's an essence of something. And we know that. I mean, I don't know if Norallie's special nature would interact with that or not, but we have an ample supply of Shadahar worms, and
Where exactly do we have this ample supply?
in the wild cherry.
Oh,
I mean, it was
You're
all.
talking about me.
I mean, do you? Well, no, I wasn't. Unless you can manifest worms. If you can. Oh, my power's out.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Loki,
If you can- if you
Loki
can
just
manifest
holds
worms-
his hands out and worms pop up. Damn.
Well, that's an interesting idea. I'd be willing to try that. So here's the thing, okay, so
Yeah, if you gotta go,
I'm gonna have to drop out of character because,
Yeah.
like you, I have a UPS, and like you, my UPS lasts about 10 minutes when
Yeah.
my computer's on full power.
it's okay. It's your
So-
turn to have a power outage. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean, I did advise that.
Yep.
So I don't know how long it's going to be. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 2 days,
Hours.
really,
Yeah.
because the weather is completely out of control, at least for this time of year.
Okay.
If it was December, this would be no big whoop of a storm. But in May, it's a major deal. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to shut down, and yeah, so that's where we're at. So
Okay,
sorry
well,
about that, but
nope, be
yes,
safe, do what you gotta
maybe
do.
we can power the ship with Shadahar worms. And if Loki can make those, great. And if not, there's a whole bunch on the wild cherry.
All right.
That's my last contribution for this week.
Okay. All right. Well, it'd be well if you can join to join. If not, then we'll see you around. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'll
All
be
right.
back if and when I can.
All right.
Yep. I was also going to be right back, so.
All right. Then what we'll do? Let's get up and take a little bit of a break, everyone. And then when we return, we have Loki, Celine, Bright, and Mordecai, as well as a random doppel that have met halfway here and are trying to figure out where to go and what to do next. So for everyone, please enjoy the art that Macabre Derek has drawn for us here on our break screen, and we'll come back in a little bit to continue on.